Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, Kim Seltzer, a dating and makeover expert, where I will help you build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. Anxiety disorders are the most common psychological disorder in the U.S. Isn't that, that's astounding because I was doing some research on it, and it affects 18% of the adult population. And anxiety, the true definition of anxiety, it's your body's natural response to stress. It's a feeling of fear or apprehension about what's to come. And anxiety is really about that uncertainty, not knowing what is next and worrying about the outcome, which, let's face it, is a killer when it comes to dating, right? Because it's all about being present. And as I talk about flirting all the time, if you look at the definition of flirting in the dictionary, it's to behave as though you are attracted to someone without the serious intention of an outcome. Well, that last part is why everybody gets tripped up on flirting, because they're worried about the outcome, what's next. And if you have anxiety, it's even exacerbated with the whole notion of putting yourself out there like that. And if you have excessive anxiety, you may find yourself wanting to control things so that you can predict that outcome. And occasional anxiety is expected. That's part of life. And you might feel anxious when faced with a problem at work, before taking a test, or before making an important decision. And there are also anxiety disorders that are not temporary and can cause symptoms that interfere with daily activities, such as your job performance, routine tasks, and of course, relationships. And then there is this thing that I kind of call dating anxiety. Now, I know it's not an official diagnosis in the psychological terms, but honestly, it should be these days, especially with so much uncertainty and the unpredictability of modern dating. But dating anxiety is extreme, and it's this excessive worry and obsession and fears around dating and relationships, and it manifests itself in becoming almost that anxious attachment in relationships that you read so much about. So here are some common symptoms. We're going to do something kind of fun and different at the top of this podcast. As I go through them, I want you to listen to them and check off what you might be experiencing. Okay, number one, there are calluses that are forming on your fingers and your heart, for that matter, due to excessive swiping. You are so riddled with the fear of someone not being good enough, or having all the boxes checked off, or the must-have list, or worrying about getting hurt. Okay, that's one. Number two, fear of having awkward conversations and infinite unknown factors. So you're thinking to yourself, will she show up? Will he like me? What do I say? What if I say too much? What if I spill my drink? What if I get rejected? The list goes on and on and on. Okay, that's another one. Third, you feel scrutinized, anxious thinking about having to meet new people, and may fear they'll do something embarrassing. Number four, obsessive phone checking for texts, responses, and then excessive worry when you don't hear back or enough to indicate that they like you. So you're obsessing over your own texts, and if you did the right thing, you go back, you scroll, you go back, you scroll, wondering if you're going to be ghosted, gaslighted, benched. You name it. The terms go on and on. That's number four. Number five, you worry about whether your date has all the qualifications for a boyfriend and girlfriend, and you get so caught up in the future, the future forecasting, that you lose the moment of just saying hi and getting to know someone. Number six, you avoid meeting new people and sense of isolation and hopelessness about the prospect of finding a suitable partner. Number seven, anxiety about thinking you are not good enough, so you overcompensate by showering your date with attention and doing things for them just to get them to say they like you or stay liking you. And number eight, extreme worry of being alone and need for attention and attachment. You would much rather be in a relationship, even in an unhealthy one, than being alone. All right, if you have at least 3 or 5 of these symptoms, then I could probably officially diagnose you as having dating anxiety. Now, we all have an semblance of some of these things. I mean, even as I'm reading them out loud, I've experienced that before dating as well. But the point is if they're excessive, if they're a lot and it's hindering your ability to really like put yourself out there or pick healthy partners, that's where it becomes a problem. I mean, I work with this all the time, right? And there was a client I was recently working with, and she was doing that. She was obsessively checking her texts, and she was self-sabotaging because he wasn't, texting back. And I had to really check in with her. I said, "Well, is this usual behavior? Is this just like ghosts from the past of you worrying about like how your other partners did this with you or for you?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, this is the first time he did it." And it turned out he like lost his phone. But she was literally ready to just say goodbye to this beautiful relationship she finally landed after doing all this work with me. So this is real and how it can like surface. So it's debilitating and it can take you over. And that is why I brought this amazing woman on the podcast today to help me talk about how to put the brakes on and manage anxiety through meditation so that you can stay present and boost confidence on dates. I love her. She's a friend too. And she's the founder and CEO of the Women's Meditation Network, a family of 20 meditation podcasts dedicated to helping women and kids find peace, presence, and purpose through guided meditations. And across the network, her episodes are downloaded, check this out, on an average of 4 million times. 4 million times each month, helping listeners across the world manage stress, sleep better, and create intentional lives. The creation of the Women's Meditation Network came during a transformative time in her life. Her journey has been a testament to the power of slowing down and connecting within, embracing the beauty of imperfection along the way. But I'll have her tell you the rest. And for the second time here on the Charisma Quotient, welcome, Katie. How are you? Are you there?
Kimmy, thank you so much. Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, you said so much gold in that introduction. Oh my gosh. So much gold. There's so much fun stuff to talk about.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Well, I mean, for some of the people that didn't hear the other episode that you were in, like and plus we were talking offline. There were so many like your journey has been amazing and you've done so many cool things. I would love to just like hear more of your story and how you got into all of this.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Um, I I I don't think I was introduced to meditation until I was like 19 years old. And when I did, it was sort of like at the end of a yoga class, you know what I mean? And it was like these 5 minutes of guided meditation. And I remember waking up from that going like, what was that? Like my brain for the first time felt like calm and chill and sort of buzzing with this beautiful little energy, right? So my meditation journey from there has just been led by some level of curiosity on how I could use it to initially find calm, right? These are sort of the carrots that get hung in front of us and all the benefits of meditation. What I have found on the other side of it in my own journey is how powerful of a tool it is for self-discovery, self-awareness, and when we really lean into that and use meditation, journaling, alone time, being in nature, like when we use these tools to really get to know ourselves, all of these things, all of these things that you mentioned, like the anxiety, the thoughts, the worries, the I don't know what, the uncertainties, like all of that stuff actually kind of disappears pretty quickly. And we can actually see our own truth and what's right for us and the truth that maybe we've been avoiding. And things start becoming really clear and you can start cobbling together your own designed life. So that's why I love meditation. And my own journey with it has been very imperfect.
Well, it's like perfectly imperfect, right?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, that's
Exactly, which is all of us, right?
all of us, and we're our own best teachers, right? Like with all of this, and I know we've all been through it. So, like with your own, I mean, now you're happily married to this wonderful man and two beautiful children. But like, I wondered if you related to anything, with what I was saying when you were going through like your dating journey.
Oh, 100%. Like all of those things. I was like, yep, yep, I did that. You saw me raise my hand on a couple of them. Yeah, and I got to be honest, that stuff, those are mental habits that don't change unless you proactively do them, because husband or not, I could still have some of those anxieties and thoughts with my husband if I didn't actively work on letting some of that stuff go and getting to the core root of what was really going on. So yeah, the one that you said that I was like, "Oh yeah," was I definitely have, this operating drive that I've had since a young kid of like not good enough, right?
Hmm.
Constantly unlayering that. I am a lot further along in that than and a lot more healed in that than I ever have been, but I'm still unlayering, right? So back then, in my late teens, all of my 20s. I didn't meet my husband until I was 30. So I just remember all of the dates that I was on. I didn't know this until after the fact. And I could sort of line up the dots of what in the world have I been doing that these guys don't work out. Like they're I had a series of guys like over and over again, like they were dumping me. And I was like, I'm awesome. Why are they dumping me? What's going on? And
Right.
unfortunately, that fueled this subconscious belief of I'm not good enough, because here they are giving me that in a real decision, right? What I discovered when I really started getting underneath and getting under those layers was I would perform so much. I
Mm.
would make them fall in love with me because damn, I could be very charismatic and I could make you fall in love with me and I could put on the show and I could be the best version of everything you've ever wanted over and over and over again. But what happened is that because that I'm not going to say like I wasn't myself because that's not true, but I definitely like overly sold myself, if you know what I mean. So what the pattern that I noticed was the reason they were breaking up with me is because they were having some sort of realization, oh, that no, I don't love her. Like I don't love her. And if I would have just been completely whole and authentic and aware, either I would have stepped away earlier because I wouldn't have been so obsessed with just being in the relationship that I needed to be obsessed with being in the relationship, or they would have stepped away earlier and everyone would have been fine. It wouldn't have been a year-long relationship that ended up not, I wouldn't say doing damage, but like taking up time, right? And of course I learned something from it, but that was my script. I could tell from those more like prior to my husband, that was the script I was getting into, is like, oh my God, I am like forcing these guys to fall in love with me. And then once that glam is gone and we're months into like the normalcies of a relationship where things you start seeing some unpretty things and you start seeing the realness of the other person, like they're realizing like no, not me. And so now they're choosing to step away, and here I am trying to control, you were saying that, like I'm trying to control that image, I'm trying to control um that how they interact with me and how I interact with them so that I can be in that perfect relationship, and it just isn't.
I love that you're saying this so much. I'm getting chills because I was talking to just a prospective client yesterday about it. I have a term for what you said. I call it shape shifting. And it's like,
Mm.
like you could shape shift into what the other person wants of you so that you can control them liking you. But then what happens is that they get hooked on the performance of you, not the real
Yes.
you. Right?
Yes.
And it's
Yeah, so
crazy, right?
it's so crazy. And you and I may have spoken about this before, but the way that this actually showed up in real life, once I realized this, when my now husband came around, this is the practicalities of how I was aware of it and how I showed up differently. The texting back and forth, okay? So you
Hmm.
mentioned like, oh my gosh, that client is like, oh my God, they've ghosted me. What's going on? And like, there's like our ego has this whole reaction and story we're creating, right? So he and I were, he and I were friends for like 5 months before we ever kissed, got together, anything, like nothing. We were just full on friends. We'd go on walks all the time. And we were texting back and forth about I don't know what. And I remember like, oh my God, I haven't heard from him in a few days. Like, right? I'm obsessing about what should I do? What's the right response? And I remember having this moment of clarity saying, okay, old Katie in those past relationships would have done it the scripted way, said the right thing, and they would have happily jumped, like on the other end, they would have reacted to that Katie, right? What if I make him choose me instead?
Mm.
What if I do a dance of intimacy? It is
Mhm.
not scripted or perfect, right? Like it is like, but instead of the visual I have is sort of like in prior relationships, I would lean in, whether they leaned into me or not, I would lean
Mhm.
in.
Mhm.
In this version, the visual I had was let me lean in when he leans in and let me lean out when he leans out. So if he's not responding to me, let me take a step back. Because if he really wants to be with me, he's going to lean back into me and then I'll lean back into him. That was so, I can remember the moment. Like I remember
Mm.
those days of like the anxiety and the stress and like, oh, but what if he doesn't choose me? And I had to just say, like, Katie, if what you truly want is a soul relationship, he will choose you. You have to let him choose you. And that was the biggest difference I made in my relationship that I have with my husband.
That's beautiful. And I can almost like, there's a visual with that as you're talking, like, and it relates to kind of like the meditation, and we could do a whole spin off on what you just said, because really what you're talking about too is the masculine and the feminine energy. And
Yes.
when you have
Yes.
anxiety, and I don't know if a lot of people think about this, but a lot of times it becomes a masculine energy because you're forward with it. You're trying to chase it, you're trying to control it. And then that attracts a certain lopsided type of relationship, right? And so
Yeah.
what you were talking about is a leaning back. I call it queen bee. It's when you're on your
Oh,
throne and you're leaning back and you're like, come hither. What do you got for me, fella? you know,
I love that.
Right. And so, like,
That's a
even
great
like, I can
visual.
imagine like a meditation where you're just sitting on a throne and you're just the queen bee and you're having the gestures, come over to you, and dancing circles around. And the thing that is so powerful about that is like what you said is like that that knee-jerk reaction to want to control, you have to let go. And it really is a letting go. It's a relinquishing of that. And
It's a
it's
total surrender.
freeing, right? Like after you got
Yes.
through it.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're on the other side, you're like, oh, I have to float on the river. I have to float on the current of the river. I can't just like constantly try to swim upstream, right? It's so powerful. And, to kind of to bring back this conversation into practical terms, like the
Mhm.
way I remember using meditation during that particular season of my life, like between the last breakup and when my husband and I got together. I remember actively using meditation, obviously to calm down, obviously to kind of get me out of those high intense moments when my brain is just spinning and obsessing over that text or obsessing over whatever, like what conversation did I say all the right things, like all of that stuff, right? But um and helping me get into presence, but deeper than that, I used meditation as a way to come inside and be like, what's the right thing to do right now?
Mm,
Not according to the script,
mm,
not even according to what past Katie would have done, but what do I truly want? And and therefore what's the answer? And just can I have this space where I can just be still and hear the whisper of what the answer is? And I feel like it's so powerful because in this moment, whatever we hear is true. Like I heard in
yeah.
that moment I was clear that what I wanted was a soulmate relationship. Now, there were years prior, I was clear I did not want a soulmate relationship. I wanted the next guy. I wanted a fun guy. I wanted, like I didn't want to be tied down. And that was true for me then. And there was nothing wrong with that. So using this tool to come inside and just be truthful with yourself and hear, like, what do I really want right now? There's no right or wrong. It just is. And what do I now need to do? And if the answer is, by the way, oh, I need to break up with the guy I've been kind of dating because he's pretty on paper, but he's not it. Then the next step becomes, let's bravely take that action based on that whisper. Let's bravely do that. And that's
Mm.
terrifying and also liberating. And one more huge step that you make towards building a life that is 100% authentically you.
Ugh, I love that. I love that. And I know it's that scary part is also so crucial, right? Because I always talk about like you only really change that state when you're in a state of discomfort. I mean, no one changes when you're comfortable, right? Otherwise, you don't need it. You don't need something.
Right,
So
right.
it's so powerful. So I have a question about the meditation thing because personally, and I'll just be honest, I'm not a meditation girl. Okay.
Yeah,
So, and I know there's a lot of listeners who are like, "Oh, it's like really woo woo." And like, I'm not a woo woo girl. I'm a high achiever. Like, I just need practical tips and that kind of thing. And even like myself, like I've struggled with it. So I'd love for you to like talk to us, those people
yeah.
about how you use meditation. Cause I feel like you use it in a different kind of way that I think a lot of people could embrace.
100%. I have realized over all these years of having the Women's Meditation Network that part of my megaphone for and part of me advocating for it is I want it to be so approachable and so simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tend to, and this may go against what some other quote unquote meditation experts have to say, I have a very broad definition of meditation.
I love it.
And because you hear the heart of what I believe the true value of meditation is this deep self awareness and self knowing, I will encompass a lot of different things that allow us to get there. That also create calm, that also remind us of our peace, that also help us sleep, that also regulate our nervous system, right? So, um, the first thing I want to make sure to share very real is that I don't have a perfect meditation practice. Like, I don't, and it has changed and evolved over time. There have been seasons of my life where it was like, okay, every day at 5 a.m., I'm waking up before my kids and I'm sitting here and I'm doing this meditation. And then I journal for 20 minutes afterwards and blah, blah, blah. Like I had that season. That's not the season I'm in now. The season I'm
Mm-hmm.
in now is what I like to call a grab and go meditation gal. Meaning because I'm very self aware, I will be like, oh, I need to just sit down and take a couple deep breaths. Oh, I need to not hustle forward right now. And actually just need to like stand in the grass. Oh, I need to just go look at our creek right now and take a couple deep breaths in between interviews, right? So, so for me, my meditation practice the regularity of it sometimes like if my husband's in town and he's driving the kids to school in the morning yeah like okay cool I'll use that time to sort of sit down for 5 minutes sometimes a half an hour and just sort of sit there with my coffee and that's it that's sort of the most regular version I have of it but that doesn't always happen so for me I love helping people broaden their scope of what a meditation can be. And one practical way to see that is something I call a mini meditation.
Oh,
So,
okay.
to me, a mini meditation is kind of, baby stepping into this meditation world without it being overwhelming or intimidating. Here's what a mini meditation is it is a moment when you can simply pause and take a couple deep breaths. I'll give you a couple examples. You drop off the kids at school, you drive back into your driveway. Before you rush into your house and get into your day, stop, turn the car off, or keep it on if you're in Florida and you need the AC, and just take 5 deep breaths, like conscious breaths where you're counting in each time you breathe in, getting to 5. That's it. When you're in your shower, and you're go running through all the to-do lists that you still have to do before you do X, Y, or Z, allow yourself to recognize that that's what you're doing. Shift your thoughts into focusing again on your breath. Let me take 5 deep breaths. Okay. When you're brushing your teeth, something that you do twice a day, every day, give yourself, the reminder like, hey, I'm just going to concentrate on the brush touching my teeth. I'm just going to, instead of my mind being elsewhere and numbed out, okay, I'm just going to really feel my toothbrush touching my teeth and I'm going to concentrate on that. What each of these are all what I call mini meditations.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is because they force us to use our breath oftentimes or some other way to come into presence. And when we come into presence, all of the noise that is usually living all around us, within us, the fast paced motion that all of us are in all the time slows down and actually kind of dissipates. We get the physical sensation of calm. Like take 5 deep conscious breaths and I guarantee your shoulders will drop, your stomach will soften, you will feel a slight tingling with a little bit more like conscious oxygen moving through you. you'll get the physical benefits. And inevitably, I believe a really special point here is it inevitably brings us to a little bit of gratitude, if not a wave of gratitude. Because when you come into the present moment and you're in the shower, like instead of all the worry that comes along with all the moving things, you feel the water, you feel it kind of going down your back. And perhaps you have a thought that's like, wow, I'm so grateful that I have a shower and that I get to take a
Mm.
shower at any time of the day I want to. And not everyone in this world has that awesome privilege. Like, wow, when you're pulling up to your house after you drop off your kids, wow, I'm really grateful for this car that just got me to and from dropping off my kids. I'm really grateful for this home. Like it's a portal for leading us into gratitude, and that presence is that door that leads us into that gratitude. So practicing these things are so simple to do. You can sprinkle them in. A really easy hack is to attach them to a habit you already have, like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. And I feel like you can start to feel the deeper spiritual, soulful benefits here enough that you will say, "Great, I'm curious about how to do more." You know?
I love that. So you don't have to sit on the ground with your legs crossed and do kumbaya and hold your heart, right? Like, and I say that because I just think there's value, and when I do yoga, I'll do that. But I think people and even myself have this idea that you have to be in this like totally perfect position and have all this like
No,
stuff happen. So I
no.
love what you're saying, and because I work with so many people who are in their head a lot, and who also are a little, let's face it, a little more left brain, right? So they're analytical and they're thinking. And so what I love about what you're saying, right, is it brings you to the surface and the ground and just like quieting all of that so that they can
Yes.
be more present, like showing up on a date. What I love about that, and maybe you have some tips, is that like I do a date prep plan for people so that they go into a date with more like embodiment of their energy rather than up here, because that's the thing, like people
Yes.
will ask me all the time, can you give me some lines to have as I go in the day, and my answer is always no, because then you're thinking too much of the line and it comes across as inauthentic. It's more about listening and observing around you to have topics to talk about and be more in your story and in your body. And because honestly, at the end of the day, attraction happens energetically with your body
Yes.
language more
Yes.
than like what you're saying. So I can imagine doing like a meditation before going on a date.
100%. And so if you want that to be a formal meditation, which,
Right.
we absolutely have, that you just press play and you're just listening and you go through that. If you can either choose that or you could choose something like 5 deep breaths. I'm going to take 5 deep breaths. And this is what I love doing for just about every kind of big meeting that I'm about to enter, or big conversation I'm about to enter. And I've been doing this for years. So take what you love, leave what you don't, and make it your own.
Hmm.
So I will generally take 5 deep breaths, sometimes 10, depending on if I'm sort of like loving the feeling that I'm having, right? Take a couple deep breaths, and then I just come in and say a little bit of a prayer. And you could call that whatever you want. But for me, that this is what it sounds like. Please, dear universe, put the words on my tongue that are here and connected to my heart, that are truly me, and that are said with love. That's it. Like, give me the words. Put the words on my tongue that are supposed to be here. That's it. And so, how do you deal with the anxiety of what the hell to say on a date? Like, just connect with yourself and trust. Just trust. Because if it's an
Trust.
uncomfortable conversation, because you are connected to yourself, you're going to get that right away and you're going to figure out how to get out of that, right? But if it's an uncomfortable conversation because you're too in your head and you're not really like in the flow, that's something you could do something about, right?
Yes. And I love that you brought up the trust issue because I think that's attached to anxiety. It's really like when you're trying to control something and the outcome, there is an association with like not trusting yourself. So you're trying to control something so that you know what I mean? Like that you can trust it. And by practicing this and doing that meditation, and you're really like practicing trusting yourself too.
Yes, and the more you do that, just like the more like listening to your intuition is such a muscle. Like the more
Yeah.
we listen to it, the more familiar we get with it. It's the same thing with like just trusting yourself in an unknown situation. The more you are rooted in who you are, and the more you practice showing up to unknown situations, the better you're going to be at it. The stronger that muscle is going to be. So like no matter what the situation is, a hard business conversation or like you don't know what's going to be said there, or a first date, or the date that you need to that you really are like, I feel compelled to have the conversation, or to say I love you, right? Like I don't
Yes,
know,
yes.
like
Yeah.
whatever those moments are, like the more you practice trusting yourself and and letting it be okay, the better you're going to get at it, and the more grace you're going to give yourself for it not being perfect.
Mm.
Girl, can we talk about so if you were to ask my husband what one of my superpowers is, he would say that I'm a phenomenal communicator. Like phenomenal. I have a master's degree in human communication. That obviously has led to part of that, meaning like I have studied how people are interacting with each other. Um, but minus the master's degree, I have made a lot of errors and made a lot of mistakes of
Right.
words that have come out of my mouth in how I want to communicate something. So the other end of this is also like what comes out of my mouth, I have intention to have it be the right thing and to let it be good. And especially as we get it, especially in those first couple of weeks or months as we're dating somebody, everything feels so tender, right? Like, oh God, like the first big fight, right? Or like whatever kind of nuances that we're trying to navigate, there's this level of the more we are really rooted in ourselves, the more we can really trust that we're going to navigate those imperfectly and it's okay, and we're going to get better at it. So, the quote unquote arguments that I have with my husband now and the ways in which I approach him and the speech and the language that comes out is so much more sophisticated than it was when we first got together all those years ago, a decade and a half ago, because I have said the wrong things and I have said it the wrong way and it completely triggered his ego and all that sort of stuff. So, I think the ultimate trusting is something my cousin said to me one time, and I just love it. And I actually have a meditation with this title because I was so inspired by it. What's meant for you will not miss you.
Ooh,
What's meant for you will not miss you. So if you can imagine
beautiful.
your worst case scenario with let's just say in this scenario, you're Mr. Right or Mrs. Right who is waiting for you on your first date. If you truly are meant to be together, you can't fuck it up. Like
Yes.
you just can't. Like
Thank you. Yes.
it's gonna happen. So you got to just
Yes.
trust and like flow.
It's full circle because at the top of the podcast, we are talking about perfectly imperfect, right? And I love this whole notion because really also what you're talking about is leaning into the vulnerability and not trying to make it perfect because the vulnerability is what makes us human, which actually connects us. Like it actually
100%.
is the perfect thing when you make mistakes and then own it and just say it out loud rather than trying to hide it and make it something that it's not. You know what I'm saying? So I know there was a client that she was like a perfectionist. I mean, 10x perfectionist.
Yes. Yes.
And I said, what if you just leaned into things that didn't seem perfect to you? And I just told the story in a workshop last night where she finally got to that point and she went on a date with this guy she really liked. And I don't know, they were they were ordering some sort of shake and hers was green and it was like a health shake and she squeezed it and it like went all over her. Right. Like now and before she would have been devastated and gone home and like, oh my God, I ruined things. But she learned to lean into it. And she actually like took the goop and she threw it at her date. And then he took the goop and they had this like totally fun, like actually kind of
Yes.
sexy date. And
Yes.
it was a big lesson for her. It's like, wow, like it's those moments that really just make us human.
Hmm. And and if you recall, like Good Will Hunting is one of my favorite movies from back in the day. And there's this moment where Robin Williams is talking about his deceased wife, and he's talking about how she used to like fart in her sleep, right? And he has this beautiful statement, and I'm not going to get it exactly right, but he said, these little idiosyncrasies are actually what I love so much about her that no one else knew. Like that's the juice. Like so these little things
Oh,
that we see as all these imperfections, that's
yeah.
actually like the stuff that it really interlaces us with another person.
Yeah, I mean, like live in the mess, like have fun in the mess. Like that really is what it's about.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You and
Yeah.
I could go on and on and on. I
I
was thinking this,
know.
I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so just to wrap up, and I don't know, I'm kind of throwing this at you, but only because I know you can. Is there any like mini meditation you could kind of end with and walk
Oh
us
yeah.
through with the
Oh my
maybe
gosh, I
some of
would
the
love to.
themes that we've been talking about, and whether it's imperfection or perfection or vulnerability,
Yes.
authenticity, anything.
Yes. Okay, cool. I will take you through just a very short couple of minutes. If you're at a place where you can close your eyes, go ahead and do so. If you're not, you can just listen along with your eyes open. That's totally fine. And we're going to start by focusing on your breath. The reason why we come into our breath is because it takes us out away from all of this outside noise and it forces us in a physical way to come inside. You don't need to change the rhythm of your breath, just notice it. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Then we're going to go ahead and take one big, deep, cleansing breath, allowing that inhale to fill up your chest and expand your belly like a balloon. And when you can't breathe in anymore, just hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And then let go and exhale all the way out. As your body comes down, I just want you to see if you can imagine all of the little pieces of thoughts or worries that you might be having or that you might have had about your love life, about your future, about all the stuff that's going on for you right now. Just imagine those as little tiny particles all around you. And as you stay here concentrated on the nice, slow movement of your breath, I want you to imagine that your inhale clears a little bit of space, and every exhale sees some of those particles dissolving, floating off into the air and disappearing. Breathe in again, gather these particles, breathe out, and watch them disappear, letting them go. Whatever those anxieties are, whatever those worries are, whatever organization and planning you're trying to do, they all live here as these little particles outside of you. Breathe in and gather them up, and breathe out and let them go. Breathe in, breathe out. And to conclude, we're just going to take one last deep breath in, again filling your chest and your belly. And then let your final exhale gather all those particles, whatever's left, and see them dissolve. As the space around you is now all clear, and you are here, home, calm and whole, and one with you. You can go ahead and open your eyes, and hopefully everyone feels a little more calm.
Okay, I just want to go to sleep and on a beach right now. Wow. Okay. That was so weird. So, Katie's meditation was so powerful. It took down my power literally right after she finished that beautiful meditation she just did. And so, like we were talking about, the ending of this episode was just perfectly imperfect. And thanks for joining me today. This has been the Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, Kimmy Seltzer. And remember, you can build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. And if you want to know more, make sure you go to my site, kimmyseltzer.com. And if you struggle with dating anxiety and it's hindering your ability to stay present and is pushing people away, check out Katie's amazing meditations, including her 3-day stress and anxiety detox, by going to womensmeditationnetwork.com. And after you do that, hop on a private call with me so we can hear more about the results and what you're going through to reduce your dating anxiety by coming up with an actual plan. Plan for yourself to go against how it's showing up in your dating life. So just click the link you see in the show notes to schedule that. And who knows, that one call could change the entire course of not only your dating life, but your life overall. And remember, working on you is working on your dating life. That's all for now.